The Empire descends. The sky tore open with fire. From orbit, the Galactic Empire's dreadnoughts poured shimmering plasma into Earth's last untamed zones, the final defiant flickers on a planet long claimed by imperial decree. In the wastes of old Detroit, nothing stirred, at least not above ground. Beneath crumbled concrete and rusted steel, in a labyrinth of half-collapsed tunnels and forgotten war bunkers, Chief Engineer Tara Myles knelt over a sputtering generator, fury simmering just beneath her soot-caked skin. The machine hissed in protest. Sparks danced as Tara drove a salvage capacitor into place with a precision that would make a surgeon envious. She muttered curses under her breath, the kind that only made sense to a woman raised on broken code and screaming steel. "Come on, you temperamental piece of junk," she growled, twisting a spanner like she was throttling a throat. The generator coughed once, then roared to life, flooding the cavern with flickering light. Fans spun overhead, ancient ventilation systems exhaling stale air. Around her, a handful of exhausted survivors murmured their thanks, but Tara wasn't listening. Her eyes were fixed on the handheld holoscreen, displaying a live feed from the surface. Red? All red. The Empire's black Talon shock troopers had landed. 8 feet tall, reinforced bioarmor, neural-linked targeting, tactical perfection, the elite of the elite. And they were heading straight for them. Someone behind her whispered, "We're dead." Tara stood slowly, every joint aching from weeks of sleepless repairs and rationed painkillers. She rolled her shoulders, glanced down at the plasma wrench strapped to her thigh. Custom-built, overcharged. It had welded starship hulls and crushed skulls with equal ease. "No," she said flatly. "We're not." A younger resistance fighter, barely out of adolescence, blinked up at her. "But they sent the Talons. That's overkill." Tara looked at the ceiling as if she could see through layers of earth and rubble to the sleek black dropships above. "They sent warriors," she said, "but they forgot who they're dealing with." She reached for her tool belt, slinging it across her armored chest. Scars covered her arms. Grease stained her fingers. She didn't wear medals. She wore carbon scoring and burns. "Ma'am," said an old sergeant hobbling up beside her, "you're not a soldier." Tara met his gaze. "No," she said. "I'm worse. I'm a pissed-off engineer with a memory and a wrench. And I remember everything they broke." With that, she climbed the rusted ladder to the surface hatch. Outside, lightning lit up a sky painted with descending Empire warships. Ash floated on the wind like dead snow. The Talons moved in formation across the ruins, hunting life with surgical efficiency. Tara crouched behind a pile of debris and watched them through a cracked visor. She counted them, 12 in one squad, sweeping alley by alley. She didn't run. Instead, she dragged a live cable across a puddle of oil, waited until the Talons stepped into the perfect position, and yanked the lever on a junction box. The explosion painted the street in fire and electromagnetic static. 3 Talons dropped instantly, twitching as their neural links shorted out. The rest turned, weapons raised, but she was already moving, sliding between wreckage. She used her intimate knowledge of the ruins to vanish. She popped up behind one, wrench swinging. It connected with the side of the trooper's helmet, caving in reinforced alloy like tin. Sparks and blood sprayed as he collapsed. She danced through the confusion, disabling another's weapon with a bolt of overcharged energy. The rest opened fire, but she ducked into a side tunnel, leading them into a trap. As they followed, the ground beneath them gave way, old industrial shaft. They fell into darkness. Tara heard the satisfying crunch of metal hitting metal. She smiled. 1 squad down. Back underground, alarms blared. A second wave of Talons had found another entrance. The survivors panicked. Someone yelled for evacuation. Tara returned, armor scorched, dragging the limp helmet of the last Talon she crushed. "No evac," she ordered. "We hold this bunker." Someone pointed at her, shaking. "You can't stop them all." She tossed the helmet on the floor with a metallic thud. "Watch me." High above, aboard the command ship Vigilance ascending, Commander Varek watched the feeds with cold detachment. His expression twitched only slightly as his squad's biometrics flatlined. "Explain," he demanded. "Sir," the AI officer stammered. "The human engineer. She's not part of the resistance hierarchy. Records list her as former orbital weapons chief. Non-combatant. She shouldn't be." Varek raised a clawed gauntlet. "Send in more." "But she is one woman," Varek said, eyes narrowing. "We are the Empire." Back in the wastes, Tara stood over a table covered in scrap, blueprints, and weapons she'd cobbled together from enemy tech. The resistance fighters gathered around her, their fear slowly turning to belief. She looked at them, then at her wrench. "They think we're beaten," she said. She hefted the wrench onto her shoulder, sparks lighting up her face. "Let's show them what a mechanic can do." Wrenches and warriors. The wind howled through the shattered streets as black-armored giants stalked the ruins. The black talons advanced with ruthless precision, clearing sectors, executing survivors, and burning resistance caches with flamethrowers that hissed like serpents. They were the Galactic Empire's finest. Tactical gods of war. Their armor could stop tank shells. Their weapons could melt concrete. And yet, they feared the shadows now. Somewhere in the rubble, something hunted them. A human woman with no squad, no backup, and only a plasma wrench and pure fury to her name. Tara Myles lay flat atop a collapsed overpass, her breathing steady, heart pounding like a forge hammer. Her modified goggles tracked the patrol below, for Talon's space-tight, weapons scanning left and right. Efficient. Predictable. She checked the detonator in her hand, linked by wire to a charge she'd planted inside a sewer grate 2 days ago, when she'd first anticipated this route. Preparation was survival. Click. The explosion lifted 2 of the Talons off their feet, flinging them into a rusted vehicle chassis. The third staggered, blinded by smoke. The fourth turned, too slow. Tara dropped down like a vengeful spirit. Her wrench sang through the air and connected with the back of the trooper's knee joint. Hydraulic fluid sprayed as the limb buckled. Before he could turn, she slammed the wrench into the back of his helmet, where the neural cluster was most vulnerable. Sparks. Silence. The last alone, half-blinded, flailed. Tara pounced, ducked a wild swing, then jammed a power cable into the soft seam of the trooper's thigh armor. Electricity surged. The suit locked up, paralyzing its occupant. Tara crouched beside him. "Your tech is good," she whispered, voice low and ragged. "But you didn't build it. You just wear it." She yanked his helmet off and cracked it open like a puzzle box, fingers flying across circuits. The trooper stared, mouth trembling. You're just a mechanic." Tara ripped out the AI uplink node and smiled. "Exactly." Back at the hidden bunker, the resistance fighters watched the feed with wide eyes. Tara had rerouted the Talon's body cam to a salvaged holodeble. Every kill, every takedown was visible in real time. "That's the 5th squad she's dismantled," muttered Corporal Del Reyes, formerly a mining foreman. "One woman." "She's not just a woman," said the old sergeant. "She's an engineer with a grudge. That's worse than a weapon." They looked up as Tara entered the room, dragging a shattered Talon helmet behind her like a trophy. She tossed the uplink core onto the table. "I want 10 minutes of silence while I crack this. Don't touch anything." Someone cleared their throat. "Ma'am, you can't keep doing this alone." She looked at them, dirty, scared, half-starved. "I'm not doing it alone," she said. "You're helping. Right now." Tara's fingers worked like lightning. Her mind wasn't in the present. It was back on the orbital platforms she helped build, back when Earth still thought alliances and treaties could stop the Empire. She designed targeting systems for planetary defense grids, fusion containment fields for orbital weapons. But no one listened when she warned of backdoors in the code. Empire's signatures hidden in firmware. Weaknesses engineered during the so-called peace. They ignored her, called her paranoid, even removed her from command. Now, those same designs haunted Earth, and she was the only one who knew how to break them. She hacked the Talon AI core, overrode firewalls, and began feeding false data to the enemy command net. Every squad in the sector now received ghost signals, fake movement patterns, false priority alerts, decoy heat signatures. Confusion blossomed. Squads doubled back. Support drops landed in empty zones. The Empire's perfect coordination began to unravel. Tara leaned back, sweat pouring down her face. Their network's blind for the next 2 hours. Let's make it count. On board, the vigilance ascending. Commander Varek crushed a data tablet in his gauntlet. Explain again, he snarled, voice venomous. Sir, the AI officer stammered. Our units are encountering irregularities. Ghost signals, ambushes, interference patterns matching old Earth engineering encryption. Varek's eyes burned. One human doing this. She's repurposing our own tech. Sir, she's not a soldier. She's a systems architect. He turned slowly. Then she knows where to strike. He turned to his comms officer. Deploy the Dread class. Sir. The officer hesitated. I want aerial drone coverage. Infraspectrum. Radiation scans. If she breathes, I want to know the carbon signature. He stepped to the window, looking down at the burning world below. If the humans want to worship this mechanic as a god, I'll show them what happens when gods bleed. Back on the ground, Tara stood in the ruins of an old plasma refinery. She'd chosen this place carefully, a dead zone for sensors, high in metal particulates. Perfect for what came next. She and the Resistance had rigged traps, heat bombs, noise projectors, EM scramblers, and spike traps made from melted armor. Tara looked at her wrench, then at her people. Get ready. They're sending something bigger. How do you know? She smirked. Because if I were them, I'd be scared too. The hammer strikes back. Tara Myles staggered through the slag-choked tunnel beneath the old Detroit refinery, bleeding from a jagged cut across her forehead. Smoke stung her eyes. The air was thick with ozone and death. The Dread-class assault drones had come just as she predicted. Massive, insectal war machines. 12 feet tall, flight-capable, self-repairing. They didn't patrol, they exterminated. Unlike the Black Talons, these weren't meant for combat against armies. These were deployed when the Empire wanted nothing left alive. 2 hours ago, they incinerated the outer perimeter. No survivors, no resistance. Tara had barely escaped, dragging 2 wounded fighters into a maintenance shaft before the world above turned white-hot. One of them, Reyes, hadn't made it. Plasma burns across 80% of his body. The other, a young tech named Siri, now limped behind her, cradling a cracked comms array. We can't keep running, Tara, she whispered. Tara didn't slow. Her boots clanged on ancient metal. Every step took them deeper. I'm not running, Tara said, voice like ground iron. I'm going home. The corridor ended at a blast door, seared with old war marks and Empire insignias half scrubbed away. Tara keyed in a 6-digit sequence with trembling fingers. The door groaned open, revealing a chamber carved into the bones of the earth. Siri gasped. Is this? Tara stepped into the cavern and turned on the lights. Floodlights hummed to life, illuminating a dormant superstructure wrapped in scaffolding. Rusted plating, exposed coils, targeting arrays that hadn't seen light in decades. An orbital cannon. Prototype D-9 Thor, Tara said softly. Built to punch holes in cruisers. Never activated. Siri's voice shook. Why is it down here? Politics. Empire-backed senators cut funding. Said it sent the wrong message. Tara spat. They buried it. They buried us. She threw her plasma wrench onto a table and pulled off her jacket, revealing a patchwork of burns, scars, and crude armor. I built this cannon before the war, before the betrayal, before they let the Empire walk right through our shields. Siri stepped closer, on her voice. Can it still fire? Tara gave a grim smile. Not yet, but I didn't drag this relic across 2 dead zones and 3 ambushes for nothing. Up above, Commander Varek surveyed the burning ruins through a sleek recon drone feed. Drones circled in grid formation. Their internal AI was confused, tricked again by Tara's signal phantoms. But this time, he was close. There, Varek muttered, pointing to a heat trace burrowed beneath the city ruins. That tunnel. She's hiding something. The lieutenant squinted. Too deep for drone scans. Heavy iron interference. Send me. The bridge fell silent. Sir, Varric stepped forward, unclasping the locks on his crimson armor. The drones failed. The talons failed. I won't. He lifted his command halberd, charged with arc-light energy, and strode toward the dropship bay. I'm ending this myself. Below ground, Tara worked like a woman possessed. Sayuri ran diagnostics as Tara welded broken cooling coils, overrode rusted safeties, and jerry-rigged exposed cables with battlefield scrap. Her fingers moved in a blur, manipulating circuits and relays like a master musician reading from a sheet of chaos. Above them, a tremor shook the earth. A sound like thunder echoed through the shaft. Boots. Heavy. Measured. Tara looked up from the cannon's ignition core, jaw tightening. He's coming. Sayuri's eyes widened. Who? Tara didn't answer. She handed Sayuri the wrench. Hold the coupling here. Don't let it shift, or we both fry. Wait, you're giving me. Another crash. Stone split above. A glowing red blade sliced through the ceiling. Varric dropped into the chamber like a god of death. His armor pulsed with dark energy. His face, half covered by a battle mask, was scarred from a dozen wars. His eyes scanned the room, then settled on Tara. You are the mechanic. Tara didn't flinch. You're late, she said. Varric stepped forward. You've cost us time. Troopers. Resources. You think that matters? You think sabotage and scavenging is warfare. Tara stepped between him and the cannon. Her voice was ice. I think you invaded the wrong planet. With a roar, Varric lunged. Tara moved. She dodged the halberd by inches, rolling beneath its arc and grabbing a shock cable from the floor. She whipped it across his chest. Electricity surged briefly, staggering him. She sprinted for the cannon. Varric hurled the halberd. It struck her side, grazing armor and sending her sprawling. Blood spattered the control panel. Tara screamed, then forced herself to stand. She slammed her palm against the ignition core. Now Sayuri. Sayuri jammed the wrench into the coupling and screamed as sparks lit her arm. The cannon powered up, groaning like a wounded beast returning to life. Varric charged. Tara turned, wrench in hand. They clashed in the shadow of the awakened Titan. He swung, she ducked. She slammed her wrench into the servo joint behind his knee. Sparks burst. He staggered. She rose, slammed the wrench into his chest plate. Again, until the armor cracked. You know the difference between us? She spat, wrench poised. Varric snarled. I build things, she growled. You break them. She drove the wrench into his chest, triggering his internal reactor to overload. His armor sparked violently. Tara limped to the console. Firing solution locked, the system chimed. She glanced at Sayuri, who nodded, tears in her eyes, hand blistered. Tara's fingers hovered over the fire command. This one's for Earth, she whispered. She hit the button. Above, the cannon roared. An arcing burst of ion energy ripped through the atmosphere. In orbit, the Empire's flagship exploded in a storm of blue light and molten alloy. Earth's skies were silent again. Wrench in the machine. The orbital blast lit Earth's upper atmosphere like a second sun. On the surface, resistance fighters watched in awe as the Empire's flagship, once thought untouchable, fractured and disintegrated above the clouds, raining molten debris into the ocean. In the silence that followed, the invincible myth of the Galactic Empire cracked. Underground, in the heart of the battered Thor cannon facility, smoke curled from the firing platform. The chamber buzzed with static and scorched ozone. Loose wires sizzled. Metal groaned. Tara Myles lay slumped against the base of the cannon's console, her breathing shallow, her right arm wrapped tightly against her bloodied ribs. Sayuri knelt beside her, trying to stabilize a field bandage. You shouldn't have stood, Sayuri said, voice trembling. You're hurt bad. Tara opened one eye and gave a pained grin. Did it fire? Sayuri nodded. It fired. It hit. The command ship is gone. Tara coughed, laughed, and winced all at once. Good girl. Footsteps echoed as surviving resistance fighters poured into the chamber, weapons raised, scanning for threats. And stopping short at the sight of Tara, broken but alive, with a shattered crimson helmet lying beside her. "Is that him?" one muttered, pointing to the twisted, smoldering remains of Commander Varek's armor. Tara reached over, snapped off one of the still glowing rank sigils from the chest plate, and tossed it toward the group. "Frame it," she rasped, "or melt it down into a coffee mug. I don't care." The sergeant grinned. "Welcome back, Chief." Within hours, word spread like fire. The mechanic had killed a warlord. The humans had downed an orbital command ship. From bunkers in South Asia to deep caves in the Andes, resistance fighters emerged with new conviction. Colonial outposts, long silent, began broadcasting again. Even alien races under Empire subjugation took notice. A legend had been born, not of a general, not of a superweapon, but of a furious engineer who turned junk into justice and scrap into salvation. In the following days, Tara refused rest. She moved on crutches, arm in a sling, barking orders and rewiring systems with her remaining hand. She mapped captured Empire drones, redirected power grids, and showed resistance fighters how to modify enemy rifles into portable EMP cannons. Sayuri followed her everywhere, notebook in hand. "Why not just let them lead?" Sayuri asked once. "You're the hero now. You could sit back, be the symbol." Tara stopped, turned. "I didn't survive to be a statue," she said. "I survived because I've still got things to fix." She pointed toward a stack of captured power cores. "Like those death engines. They still leak radiation. So until I stop glowing in the dark, give me a wrench." From orbit, the remaining Empire ships pulled back. Deprived of coordination, without Varek or Command AI support, they hovered in uncertainty. And then came a message, pulsed in every frequency, translated into every tongue. "This is Earth. You sent your best. We sent an engineer. Next time, we send engineers by the dozen. Leave our skies." And the Empire did. Weeks later, Tara stood on a rebuilt communications tower overlooking the now liberated cityscape of Old Detroit. The ruins were still ruins, but something new thrived beneath the ash. Motion, community, resistance turned into reconstruction. A young boy offered her a datapad. "You've got 27 interviews to do today," he said. She stared at it blankly. "Tell him I'm busy." "Doing what?" She looked out toward a line of half-built drones being assembled by former resistance fighters. "Teaching," she said. 1 month later, in an underground workshop, Tara stood in front of a class of new recruits, most barely out of adolescence, others hardened by battle. They sat among circuit boards, stripped drones, and Empire weapons disassembled to their screws. Tara held up her plasma wrench. "This," she said, "isn't just a tool. It's a symbol?" someone asked. She snorted. "Hell no. It's a weapon. It's leverage. It's understanding. You want to be tyrants? Learn what they depend on. Systems. Power. Logistics." She pointed to the nearest drone carcass. "You learn how this works, and you'll never need permission to fight again. You won't wait for heroes. You'll build your own future." A long pause, then applause. That night, alone in her quarters, Tara hung her wrench on the wall above a table cluttered with blueprints, worn gloves, and a mug labeled Varek's skull, now serving coffee. Sayuri entered quietly. "They're saying you started a rebellion," she said. Tara didn't look up. "No, the Empire started this. I just reminded people that resistance doesn't need soldiers. It needs people who don't quit." Sayuri smiled. "And maybe a few angry engineers?" Tara smirked. "Especially the angry ones.